Hi, good afternoon. My name is Selena Law, and I am here to execute a makeup on my lovely model Lisette, focusing on highlighting and contour and how to bring it from day into evening. So I've already prepped Lisette's skin with some moisturizer and a foundation with about medium coverage to take away any discoloration. Let's begin. I'm going to start with the contouring. So number one is I'm going to grab a mineral powder about 3 shades darker than Lisette's skin tone, and I'm going to start to contour her before adding some highlights. So I have a mineral powder, a slightly bronzy tone. This is Deep Dark from MAC, and I'm going to show you an easy way to contour the face. You can always turn your model to the side, and from the top to the bottom of the ear will be your top and bottom line of your contour. Make a slight triangle to the outer third of the eye, ending at the outer part of the iris. And this way, you're going to be able to get right into the cheekbone without going too low and dragging the face down. So what you want to do is use a goat hair brush that's quite soft and go back and forth first where you need to place that color and just buff out the edges. You want to blend it in a manner where it goes right into the hairline and into the ear so that the bronzer or the contour is nice and seamless. Now I'm going to add a tiny bit of color from the arch of the brow to the outer part of the end of the brow up into the temple. This is going to be where you're going to add an indentation of shape so that you pretty much oval out the face and give it a nice smooth contour. Again, blending the color right into the hairline. Now we're going to contour the chin. We're going to use the base of the jaw where my thumb is as where you would apply the color. Again, swiping it back and forth and blending it right down into the neck. Now this part of the neck tends to get really light when the sun hits from above because of the shadow of the chin. So what you want to do is pull a little of the contour into the chin or add a bronzer to really make sure that everything looks nice and uniform. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Same thing, top to the bottom of the ear, to the outer third of the eye. Swipe and swirl, almost like a triangle. And as you press into the skin, you're going to feel the structure of the bone, of the cheekbone, so that you know where pretty much to indent that bone structure and give it a nice classic shape. While you're doing the second side, you always want to look at the first side to make sure that your work is symmetrical. And again, this area, I'm going to add a tiny bit of contour, keeping the pressure really light. And again, swiping the product right underneath the jawline and blending it right up and into the neck. Now if someone's going to wear their hair up, make sure you kind of go on the top of the ears as well, just so that everything's nice and seamless. With the leftover product on the brush, you want to kind of give it a wiggle and go right into the hairline and really swirl it in. So when you think about the contour, it's almost like a 3 and an E right here and right here. Okay, so now I'm going to contour a little bit in the hollows of the eyes and around the nose area. I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to use more of a pointed bristle brush. This is a crease brush, MAC 224, and I chose any brush that has this type of a shape. Works really well for this type of contouring. Wherever you place your brush first is where the most product's going to land. So I usually recommend having your client open and starting from the center of the eye and just going back and forth. This way you ensure that you're not going to overload on that contour, because if you were to go in here and your customer or your client is very has close set eyes, you're going to pull their eyes too close together. Again, going back and forth and pulling out. You want to be parallel to that brow. Give it a classic contour shape. Do the same with the second side. I always like to start with a subtle contour before I begin any makeup so that I know the bone structure of my client. Now I'm going to pull a little bit of that contour underneath the eye so that It gives her a little bit more of a uniform contour. It's very subtle drop shadow. So if I'm going for a smoky eye look, I already have the framework completed. Now for the nose contour, you want to start from the beginning of the brow, or if the beginning of the brow is kind of farther out, this tip of the nose vertically up into the crease as your starting point. This is going to build the bridge. This is the part that everyone looks at when they first meet you. So you want to make sure that that part is nicely, smoothly contoured. There's no lines or no delineation. It looks like a nice natural shadow. This brush is great because you can also contour the tip of the nose slightly. It's like a little V with a dot. So dot here on the second side, and you're going to blend. Hold the brush to its side and just kind of tickle the nose, going vertically up. Now if you keep that line vertical, you're pretty much good on getting symmetries. But if you have a hard time with it, you might want to check the mirror every time you're doing this to ensure that you're getting it right. So with that said, I'm going to check in the mirror. Hey, looks good. Okay, so now we're going to do the brows. I've grabbed a dark brown pencil. What I'm going to do is show you a great way to know where the beginning of the brow is, the arch, and the end of the brow. You want to take the center of the nostril where that bump is. Draw a vertical line up here with your brush or your pencil. This is the start of the brow. You're going to move it over, open your eye to the outer, look straight ahead. Kind of like maybe the outer third of the eye, or where the iris naturally starts. And you're going to find that is going to be the highest point of the brow. You're going to shift that over to the end of the eye, and that's where the longest point of the brow is. So in order to mark that appropriately, her start of the brow is perfect. So I'm going to mark a tiny dot right here for the arch. Again, boom, right here. And then her length from previously checking is pretty good. And brows are meant to be sisters, not twins. So if they're not completely matching, it's okay, as long as they're pleasing to the eye. So I'm going to start with the arch going out, same direction. So I want to make sure that the product goes on and really defines the arch of her brow. I'm going to do the other side now. And the reason being is that this way I'm going to do both sides at the same time with the same pace, and I'm going to ensure quick and easy symmetrical brows. So with the pencil, that's very, very fine. It's very easy to draw hairs if you want, or give a nice clean shadow to the brow and add some fullness. So I know that she's missing a few hairs, so that's where I'm going to put that pencil first and drop and lift. She has very soft feminine features, so I don't want to go too crazy and draw her these big brows when they don't really go with her face. So again, drop, lift, really getting it nice and drawn in. What I'm going to do after this is go in with an angle brush to really blend in that brow. I'm going to, she's missing some hairs on this side. This side is perfect, so I think I'm going to add a little volume up here. I'm going to start a little bit rough and blend it out. I'm going to get my angle brush, keeping the bristles really tight on the skin. I'm blending that product out. The wax will warm up with a body temperature and blend in nicely with the hair. And what's nice about it is that my bristles here are synthetic, so it really pretty much blends that product like butter right on the skin. And now if I feel like I want to blend out a little bit, I'm going to get my spoolie and take away what I need to. In the inner brow, always blend up so you get a nice clean fade. On the outer corner, or the outer edge of the brow, you want to run it so you get a nice clean tapered edge, because what's going to happen is the bristle is going to swipe off the extra product. Again, the same process, same direction, pull the product up and out. The longer bristle should be towards the nose, the shorter towards you, if you're doing this side. And the longer bristles always towards the nose. Same thing when you're doing eyeliner, because if you don't, then you're not going to get a nice leverage of taking advantage of the bristles. So you get a clean line. So again, blending up in the center. And where there's little missing areas, you go back very lightly with a pencil. And if you make a boo-boo, don't worry, because you can always go back with the spoolie to correct. Okay, so now we're going to go into highlighting. I've chosen a more shimmery color. This is a mineral powder just over the tops of the cheek. I'm using the same brush I used for contour, but I'm giving her highlights of little ovals. A tiny bit in the bridge of the nose, a tiny bit on the top of the nose, a dot right on the top of the lip. And then now I'm going to do a little bit of eyeliner and mascara. So I've chosen a brown eyeliner this time because her brows are so deep. Close. I'm going to start from the outer edge of the brow, outer edge of the eyeline, and move that brush inwards towards her nose, gliding the product. You want to drag the product along. And pull out a nice soft wing. Again, now we're going to do the other side. It's a great way to add some drama. So for daytime, she could have just worn the contour and the highlights for her daytime. And then for night, she can add a little bit of drama with a thicker liner as this and a red lip. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go in with some mascara. And the best way to do mascara is to do the bottom first. So look up for me. And just give it a little tickle. She has quite long lashes, so she doesn't need a whole lot of mascara on the bottom. And I'm having her look up. She knows, because she's modeled for me before, so that she doesn't see that wand coming at her. It's a very good tip. Always have your customer look in the opposite direction of where your wand is placed. Look up for me, please. Okay, look down. And then I'm going to now work from the center of the eye. Again, I'm going for more of a doll eye look. So I'm really packing on the mascara in the roots, giving a nice wiggle and pulling it up. I've already curled her lashes quite a bit. All right. Okay. So now we're going to start on a lip product. I'm going to use a liquid lip product. And I'm going to get a brush. I'm going to start from the center, and I'm going to move towards the outer and in, I'm going to use another brush to refine any fine edges that I need to do. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to a lip brush. To really get in there. Chosen a ruby red. So for daytime, you can actually just do a stain, and for nighttime, you can really bump it up by adding a lot more color. Okay, so a little bit of a brush here that loves her. So now I'm going to pump up a little bit of the crease with a tiny bit of color. I've chosen the same crease brush, and I'm going to use a wine with a mauve open. And I'm just going to emphasize the crease a tiny bit. This is going to take it from day into evening. A little further. Again, moving that brush back and forth, not taking the bristles off the skin, and pulling that product out in parallel. Okay, open. There you go. Back and forth, out in parallel. Nothing beats a little color. And to add an extra highlight, just dotting a metallic gold in the center of the lid. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed my video, and thank you, and I hope you watch us again.